I'm listening to a podcast, and a man on the podcast is discussing consciousness, which I thought at the time was woo-woo, silly garbage. And he just said one line. He said, "Show me yesterday." That was it. I mean, I literally almost fell on the floor. I could not believe what I just heard. It made every piece of sense and clarity to me.
In this podcast, Evolution of a Human, it's supposed to be my job to inspire you to make the changes you know you want to make, and maybe even give you a few hints. But instead, I'm going to let my guests do that. Learn from their stories and the obstacles that they've overcome to be who they are today. Today I have Dallas Collis, and he's had quite a story, and I cannot wait to dig in. But I think the first question that I want to ask, and you can take this wherever you want, but when did everything change for you?
When I woke up.
Today, or more of a
It took
spiritual
me
awakening?
62 years to wake up. And that happened over a 3 to 6 month period about 2.5 years ago.
All right. Tell me all
Now,
about it.
I'd like to start at a place of agreement, if we can find it, between us. And that is this. What would you want for your children? We often want them to be a doctor, maybe a lawyer, an astronaut, wonderful dreams. But when it gets down to it, we really want our children to be healthy and happy.
Yeah,
Pretty simple. Would you agree?
absolutely.
Your parents probably wanted that for you. Their grandparents probably wanted that for them and their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And you for yours, and you will for your grandchildren. And every human being throughout time is looking for one final destination: to be healthy, happy, without worry, a calm, peaceful mind, to express love, to have love, to just be a beautiful human being. Could we agree that that's probably the seed, the truth of us?
Yeah, it's a pretty big driving force, right?
And so my question becomes, what are we waiting for? What's in the way is my story.
Mhm.
What's in the way is your story. We are each a story, and we are storytellers. Our stories begin with the original trauma of childbirth. To send this being out into a world in this sudden move must be terrible trauma. Trauma that we don't necessarily can remember, we're not necessarily conscious of, but it is a part of our consciousness.
Mhm.
And on top of that, we begin layering experiences, everything we've heard, we're taught. We fall down, we get up, we go to school, we meet people. Everything we do becomes another page in our story. And over time, we associate ourselves as our story. My self-image is my story. The self I believe I am is a story from my past. Everything we are is from our history, because we can have no knowledge unless it happened yesterday, or a minute ago, or 5 minutes ago, or 50 years ago. This is our story. We carry as we go. It builds as we go along. But everything is in the past. So my whole self was rooted in a traumatic start. Abuse and bullying, psychologically and physically. Coming out of school knowing I was not smart enough. I was not capable. I would not succeed. I was a failure, a loser. And so I lived up to that story and reproduced my past in every waking day for 60 years. The pain of carrying that emotional baggage, it gets pain-filled in us. And so we reach for addiction to try and keep it away, to create a buffer. And our first addiction for almost every human being is blame. We blame other people, we blame situations, we blame our past, we blame everything outside. It's what I call the externalism of our life and our culture, that everything is somehow away from me. And so I am never truly responsible for me, because the self I believe I am, that story, is outside. I'm believing a story that I'm reading, like The Three Little Pigs or Little Red Riding Hood. It's a story I'm believing is me. So the pain builds, and now blame doesn't work well enough anymore, because the truth of me, that real conscious voice, can show up and go, are you really telling the truth? It keeps niggling at the back of your mind. So blame gets weaker. I need a new drug. I found alcohol. Wonderful drug for irresponsibility. Just pushes everything away. Whoa, look, the pain's gone. I feel great.
Yeah. Fantastic.
This is fabulous medicine. What medicine? And so that's what we're doing. We're medicating to try and keep the pain away. So, of course, I go 25 years of complete alcoholic, married to an alcoholic. From the outside, we have a house. We have cars, vacation. We have 2 beautiful children. We're successful people. Under the roof of that house is a storm. It's a hell zone. It's horrific, horrific. It's a movie. It's a horror movie. Of course, that pain builds to a point, and every human has to express their pain. The pain is a pressure that has to leave the body. It needs to get out. And it does, it sends you signals. All the time, consciousness is sending you signals of that you need to change, to get out of your story, to leave the beliefs that are causing this pressure. And so for me, I had 2 bouts of depression. They lasted about 2 weeks each. And they were so intense. For anyone who's experienced real depression, it is an absolute loss of your life. You cannot even articulate the black hole of nothing you find yourself in. There is no feeling. This is its horror. It takes feeling away. And we are beings that everything is an experience that we feel, that we sense, that we can grasp. Depression takes feeling from you. And so it's a horrible black space. And I know now it's a message. It's calling you to wake up. It's calling you to review this baggage you're carrying with you and understand it's not true. But I didn't listen. And most people don't listen to early signals and signs. And then one day, I got lucky enough. I woke up with cancer in the middle of a pandemic. And over the next 12 months, I go through treatment. I lose my wife. I lose my house. I lose my business, my family in every way you can imagine. And I end up alone, broken, alcoholic, and suicidal. That was the greatest year of my life. Nothing comes close to how beautiful that is, to have that gift be given to me. Because instead of killing myself, it woke me up. The door came open, the light poured in, the truth was suddenly exposed. Everything I had done in my life was living a story from yesterday that I believed was true and was myself. And I kept getting lucky. 4 weeks after trying to get back on my feet, trying to just go for a walk and get outside because I was so weak and broken, I'm listening to a podcast. And a man on the podcast is discussing consciousness, which I thought at the time was woo-woo, silly garbage. And he just said one line. He said, "Show me yesterday." That was it. I mean, I literally almost fell on the floor. I could not believe what I just heard. It made every piece of sense and clarity to me. I had lived my whole life, as most of us do, because we can only live in the past,
Mhm.
because that's all we know. But the story of that past is only a story. It is only a belief. I can't go to the cupboard, pull out yesterday and go, look, here it is. It's nowhere. It is not tangible. It is not a reality. It is only a perceived and believed reality. That singular notion rolled in my mind for the next 3 months until one day, weeding in the garden, the world got silent. I sat there in the sunshine and I started laughing. I had no idea why I was laughing. I first thought maybe I was going insane. It's now been 2 years and I still laugh every day. I go to bed giggling. I wake up giggling. I have no worry. I have no anxiety, no fear. I have no problem in life. Life is purely easy. It is simple. And this is what we want to talk about. How
Mm.
can that be? How can that happiness that we're all trying to seek and what is in the way, how can we bridge that? And that is the great information that we're trying to impart. The reason you're podcasting and I'm here speaking, we're just trying to investigate and open up possibility and hope that someone who watches it might do one thing. I hope they do. They say, what if? That's all. If you can question, what if my truth is not? What if my beliefs are not? You believe things 10 years ago you don't believe today. You will believe things in 10 years you don't believe today. So, how real is the belief? How true should we make it? We've put all this power and control into concepts that have no reality, only our perceived belief in it. I let that perception almost kill me. It destroyed my family, my business, everything. It burned down my life. And there was no reason for it. None. It was made up in my mind by a story I believed in. So let's go from there.
All right. So it's uh it's not funny because it's one of these things that I've always known, the whole what if question. What if has come up a number of times with a number of other interviews, and it is a very powerful question, and it can be used in the positive and it can be used in the negative. It can stop you dead in your tracks because what if things go wrong? But it is such a powerful question for prompting the next step.
And I think
Sometimes
it's
the
really important.
biggest
What
steps.
something you just pointed out, I think, is really important. Contradiction.
Mm,
Almost anything we see as positive can be negative, and both are acting in our lives all the time. I
yeah.
call it the entanglement. We are entangled in a confusion
Mm,
because of that contradiction. So when we say something, it's never a truth.
no.
It's an act in that moment that works in this direction. But it can also be seen. That's why we have the term on the other hand. And I think it's important that we always keep that conscious because
Yeah.
it can get to a point where you become proselytizing. You're just preaching, this is it. I have the truth. Follow this path. And the reality is, there's so many contradictions and entanglements. You have to find your particular path. Though we're on the same road to happiness,
Yep.
you still have to find your footsteps.
Exactly. And that double-sidedness of any question kind of brings me back to something else that with your story, I really want to know your take on this. Um, when someone gets into such a deep depression, you talked about suicidal thoughts on the edge. what do you think it was that changed that direction? If was it hearing that line on the podcast? And if it was, why do you think you were open to that?
Because I'd just gone through the hell I went through in 1 year.
Okay.
I'd been hit. I'd been hit so hard. I believe I was put in a position to be awakened, not I was awake.
Hmm.
And so the triggers started showing up. You
Okay.
know, the man on the podcast who said, "Show me yesterday." A friend who looked at what I just went through, and I thought I was weak and broken and beaten. And he said, "You just went in 1 year in a pandemic through cancer, lose your wife, lose your house, lose your business, lose your family. And you think you're weak? It didn't kill you." And that was oh, you mean I might be strong, not weak? What if I was strong? So these are little things start happening because you are available to them.
Hmm.
I think all our lives, since we were kids, there are moments of clarity, of real conscious awareness, and they come and go. But if you're not open to their meaning, if you're not ability to what if your present reality and see this opportunity, they don't really matter. But they keep getting thrown at us. Our whole lives are having this thrown at us saying, "Excuse me, over here, not the shiny thing, over here, the reality. No, the shiny thing, I like that." And that's the externalization, the externalism of our culture and of our individuals, that something will make us happy. I'm
Hmm.
going to buy this thing. I'm going to achieve this thing. I'm going to make the grave, jump the hoop. I'm going to get the reward. This is all the externalizing. And really, it's pain relief.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with progress or smarter or knowledge. We are relieving pain in the entire act of our life. I like to say, if you look into a brand new baby's face, I mean, fresh out of the womb baby's face, you will only experience love, beauty, happiness. And it's not in the baby that you're seeing it. It is your reflection in the baby that you're seeing. Your true self is exposed in the baby's face.
Hmm.
My mother died 6 weeks ago. 2 hours before her death, I looked into her face. What do you think I saw? I saw the baby's face. I saw the reflection of love, of beauty, the same thing. At the beginning and the end, we are absolutely faced with conscious awareness, the reality of our spiritual being. In between, we clutter it with this story, both cultural and personal, that runs the same path, the same road. Achieve, win, succeed. Why? You're going to get to retirement. Well, what's that mean? You get to relax. I mean, I get to do the thing that I'm supposed to be, that I really am. How foolish that we've fallen into this entire trap. And
Hmm.
there's no reason for it. There's no reason. There's no law. There's no supernatural power making it happen. It is just fear. It
Yeah.
really comes down to we are a scared little animal, always worried about our security and always fighting. And so we have an ego to try and protect us and tell us we're okay, we're stronger, we're better, I'm faster, I can do it. And it's just a game. And we fall under the power of this story. I don't
Hmm.
call it the ego anymore. I call it the deceiver. Because that's all it does is work its whole life. That thought coming up in your head, the voice that shows up is just deceiving you all the time. And you can prove it by asking someone to sit still for 5 minutes. Perfectly still, no music on, no screens, no nothing. They'll start fidgeting in 15 seconds. Their mind will fill with thoughts to try and fill up the space. Why? Because the deceiver is scared to death that you might find out the truth. You might find out that your story is a lie, and you don't have to have a story. No one needs a story. That's a creation. Hollywood just recaptures stories. That's all it is.
Mm.
It keeps us in our stories. There's no truth to it. We've just fallen victim because we are this scared little insecure creature and we want something to hold on to. We think security is a thing. It's not. There's no such thing as security. It doesn't exist. In fact, the beauty of life is in the insecurity. It's in the acceptance of things happening and you being beyond control. Because there's nothing to control. This is all fantasies that make us afraid and insecure. If you think you can control something, of course, you set up the end zone. You've set up the result, which is a failure, which is disappointment, which is falling down and getting a bloody nose because you decided this thing in advance. You can't. There is no future. There is no tomorrow because tomorrow is created from your past. Everything is from knowledge. Knowledge is from your past. And we think we're doing things like having a dream, having a goal is somehow empowering us. It can be motivating to see something beautiful in front of you. But when you attach to it as a place to reach, it is a destructive pattern from your past.
Yeah.
100 years of personal development, $100 billion, 250,000 books. 90 to 95% of people fail to reach their goals. 100 years later, it's the same stat. We've done nothing. We've gone nowhere. 100 years of psychoanalyst, talk therapy, $500 billion to be spent in the next year or two. And what are we? We're in a mental health crisis. Nothing has worked. Why? Because we're trying to put things on top of the story. We're not doing anything about the story. The story still exists. I was a fiend for personal development for 20 years. I read every book. I bought the tapes. I went to seminars. I love planners and planning and writing everything down and time management and focus and discipline and effort. Nothing. Why? Because the real voice from my story, the deceiver, was there going, those are nice goals. You're not going to reach it. Oh, you really think you're going to win? Yeah, but you know you're a loser. And there's no way. And that's why most people don't, because the story is what they're really believing, not some dreamy future, because it's impossible. It's from the story. So it brings me to this revolutionary conclusion. There's no such thing as healing. Healing does not exist. Your body doesn't heal when you break your arm. What happens is old cells leave and die, new cells come and repair and rebuild. That's not healing. That's leaving the past behind. You don't heal from trauma. If you did, we would have the formula. We would have the success today. It's impossible. What we do, like any other memory we have forgotten, we leave it. That's all we do. There's no healing. There's only leaving. Leave your story. You will have no baggage. If you woke up tomorrow morning with amnesia, who would you be? You don't need a story. You would still be this beautiful, loving human being. Nothing will have changed.
One of the other people that I interviewed just recently, he had a stroke 2.5 years ago. He has complete amnesia. And he got to start from the start all over again. So he met his mum again, and he met his girlfriend again, and best friend, and got to rebuild who he is with a clean slate. And interestingly, it turns out that he's much more open now than he was in the past. So he was quite the party guy in the past, and now he's like, yeah, nice and calm. So he's been able to do this exact process through no choice of his own.
Right. And so what is gone is all the attachment
All
in
the
the
conditioning.
story. The attached meanings of the past are gone. So you realize you don't have to have it.
Mm,
I'm watching a report on the news from the fires in
yeah.
California about 6 weeks ago. And the backdrop is, of course, that obliterated neighborhood, just burned to the ground. The reporter is standing between a woman in her 40s and a man in his 70s. Turns out they're father and daughter. They live
Mm,
2 blocks apart. They've both lost everything. The daughter is sobbing and crying and saying, my whole life is gone. My memories, all my work, my home, everything is gone, and sobbing. And the man has a smirk on his face. And the reporter notices this and thinks, this is weird. And she turns to the man and says, you don't seem to be upset at all. And he shrugged and he went, it's just stuff. Attachment disorder on display for
yeah.
any therapist to see. And as a therapist, you would say, wow, it's obvious that woman has just created a mental attachment and hurt herself. The attachment didn't hurt. The house didn't hurt her. The loss of memories and pictures didn't hurt her. She hurt herself.
Yeah.
And here's the man without attachment. He's not hurt. He knows it's not have any real meaning. Big deal. I didn't reach my goal. Well, so what? Next time I might. Maybe I'll try again. Maybe I won't. Who cares? That's life. We're
Absolutely.
so lost in it being somewhere in front of us. We're so lost in that cartoon we saw as a kid with the horse or the donkey with a stick over his head and a carrot hanging off a string to motivate it because it's going to get that reward. As children, we're taught right away, succeed, go to school, get a good grade, get a good job. It's always getting something in front of us. Go, go, go. And of course, society, mostly, we give up our dreams. Our
Yeah.
great goals, we give them up because we have to settle for the reality that this is a hard life. Get what you can, get enough to get by. Try to get that partner, try to get the house, try to get to retirement, try to
Ultimate
get
dream.
this whole thing. And so the cultural story steps in when it sees failure and it tells us, oh, we were wrong. It's not the destination, it's the journey. We all need to believe in the journey. There's the wisdom, there's the richness of life. And so we buy into the journey. And we all work every day at this journey, grinding away, trying hard, keeping at it. Totally false. It turns out it is the destination. And you were there when you were born. And you'll be there when you die. It's always been the destination. And you can live in the destination every single day. And then the journey can become what it is, an experience. Not good or bad, not winning and losing, not grinding or being lazy, just being in pleasure, enjoying the journey. If I build a big corporation with lots of people and I'm super rich, it's no different than playing tennis and getting good at it. It's just a journey of experience, knowledge, have fun. You look at most great CEOs and they've got a smile coming out of them. They're enjoying the game they're playing. More money doesn't give them anything. They love playing the game. They like playing golf and getting the hole in one. That's what they're doing. It is us, the great unwashed masses, who are confused and think we have to get somewhere to have the pleasure of the game. But the actual road is hard and we have to fight and use discipline and all these things, which are great tools to get a thing done. I have to be disciplined to play golf well. I have to be aware, attentive, paying attention. I have to be in the moment. I have to be conscious in the game for the pleasure of the game, not because I'm receiving some gift at the end. The doing is it. And this is the struggle, the pain and the anxiety and the fear and the insecurity. We think we're going to get to somewhere. We're going to find something. We don't realize we are everything right now. I say you are the most important person on the planet. And so is everyone else. Because if you weren't here, there wouldn't be a planet.
Mm.
It wouldn't exist. No life would be here. You'd never have a hug. You'd never be told I love you. Nothing would happen. So how could you not be the most important thing on the planet? Not to have self-importance, but to understand you are the whole show. This is it. You are it. Everything is you. You are everything. So why would you not choose the happiness, the love, the beauty, the joy of being right now and at every moment? If you know this, you would choose it. You don't know, or we're insane. And there's a great argument for insanity. If as a species, we're going to spend $2 trillion on trying to kill each other this year because of this disconnection, because of this story belief. We believe as a culture, as a humanity, in a story based in fear and insecurity. So we blame the other. We blame them. We blame
It's
the
all
economy.
us and them and separation. Whereas
Absolutely.
the reality is, yeah, there is one of us here.
And it is so simple when you get there. When you walk through that door that opened for me, you realize the simplicity is the difficulty.
Mm.
We are taught from childhood. It's a big, complex, difficult world. University, you have to go to it. It's complex, it's difficult. You need to really apply yourself. Everything is complex and difficult and entangled. And yet, when you get there, it's simplicity. It's simple. For 20 years, I knew I shouldn't be in my marriage. My wife knew she shouldn't be in that marriage. We were toxic. We couldn't leave because we had a house together, a business together, cars together, children together. We were entangled. You can't just pull that apart. Think of the damage. That's what the mind does. And we stay and struggle and fight and cause more damage. But the day that I drove away from that house and it was over, it was like a switch. My mind went, that's it? Is that easy? Yeah. All that pain and stuff, and what? What? How can that be? And the same thing happened when I woke up in the garden that day and just found this peace. It was like, what? It's that easy? How have we been so fooled? How have we fallen into these masks we put on, the mask of our perception with our friends when we go to work, every little thing, because we're on a stage in a movie we call our story, following a script we believe we have to read. And the reality is we don't. Win the Academy Award for Best Editing in a Major Motion Picture. I did. I edited my story. I took out all the emotional baggage and realized it was false. So I wrote it out of the movie. My movie no longer has that. I'm still on a stage. I'm doing it right now with you. I'll go to the store in a few minutes. I'll be on a different stage. We will still be here living this life. That is the journey. But we don't have to live the story we have believed. It's that simple a message. And of course it's difficult. Of course it's hard. But, for me, there's like really only 3 sections to the story to creating that change. And that's first to take radical responsibility for your story. To take all the blame out. Even if it wasn't your fault, take responsibility for it. Every single piece. If once you do that, you can accept it as yours. That means you can put it down. I can only put something down that I own. The reason I carry the pain is because I'm not taking ownership. I'm blaming.
Mm.
I'm giving it reason and excuse. But if I own it, I now have the power to put it down because I'm responsible. You can't put a bag down unless you own it. That's the first initial movement. The second is to edit your story. You know, we have personal development has a great mantra, believe in yourself. And you see it everywhere, online, you name it. I say, no, the answer is do not believe in yourself because the self you're believing in is lying to you. So what are you going to believe in? What self? Your self is not what you are. It's who you think you are. What you are is that baby's face, is my dying mother's face, is that happiness and beauty and love and joy we all want. That's what we are. And it doesn't change. When I was 12 years old, I walked down onto the wharf at a cabin we stayed at a lake every summer. I walked down there late one night, put my sleeping bag down on the wharf. I lay down and look up at that beautiful starry sky, and I'm in awe. Maybe just for a moment. But for that moment, I'm not thinking. I'm not in my mind. I'm experiencing the awe and wonder of the universe, of consciousness, of pure awareness. And everyone has done it. At 65 years old, I can walk down on that wharf at night, put my sleeping bag down, lie down, look up at the starry sky, and have the exact same experience. The experience of who we are has no age, has no time. It doesn't deteriorate, nothing. It is always present. There's a blue sky and sunshine right behind you, and you're staring at all the clouds instead. The clouds are in your mind. They're made up. The blue sky is what you are, and it's always there. When I was 12, it was there. When I'm 65, it's there. It's in the baby's face and my mother's face. It's always there. We've just gotten confused and fooled by that story.
We really do start identifying with our stories very young, though.
Very young.
There's a lot of work to be done to uh, chip away at it, to loosen that grip that it has on who we think we are. So let's just assume that you've done all of this work to loosen that grip on our identity. What do you have practices? Do you have exercises that you do regularly to keep yourself fluid with this?
Yeah, I remind myself it was a lie. That's all. I really don't think I've chipped away at anything.
Okay.
I've just accepted a new vision. That's all. I accepted a story in its totality. It doesn't matter the individual parts. If I don't accept the story and I just tell myself, and I did for months, 100 times a day, I have believed a lie. Now I know the truth. And it has just evaporated. I didn't have to do the work. I didn't have to heal the inner child because you don't heal, you leave. I said goodbye to the boy. I said thanks for the lesson. You're no longer needed. Goodbye. And it's over. I said goodbye to alcohol like that. After 10 years of trying and struggling and falling down and failing and getting busted and losing my license and all the things that go along. But when it happened, why? Because I didn't need it. I was using it to try and mask a story that isn't true. If it's all a lie, it's not necessary. The bags are put down. The bags are like the garbage. I took it to the curb, put it on the side of the road. It's been taken away. I no longer have the bags. That's all. It is that simple in the end. That is what happens. That is what we call healing. We drop it. We get past it. We move along. 70% of your life right now, you can't remember.
Yeah.
It's impossible to remember because you wouldn't have the space in your head to function. So there's a reason for memory. And its reason, I believe, is for the toolbox mind. Skills, techniques, understandings, knowledge that supports life, that supports loving, caring, sharing, working together, all the things that make us informed human beings. That's what memory is for. The story mind is a mutation of memory that was never supposed to be held. The pain and struggle, discomfort, insecurity, the fear, the hurt, the anger. These are all mutations of memory. They're not real. They're the fooling, the deceiver. And so I simply focus on the toolbox mind because that's what lets us live. That's why I know how to get dressed in the morning and feed myself and go to work and keep a roof over my head. That's what it's for. That's all it's for. The rest is an illusion that I believe for no reason. So I didn't heal, I cut it off. I amputated a part of my memory because I know already memory isn't true. If it were, you couldn't forget 70%. The only reason you remember things, the only reason we remember is because we play it over and over. We watch the movie until we know the words. We listen to the song until we can sing along. We are repetitive monsters and machinery that we can only live in yesterday's repetition. But we can choose the repetition. This is what no one taught us. They didn't say you can choose what to remember and what not to remember. They said you have no choice. It's just a memory, like it has a life of its own. It doesn't. You have to give it license to be its life. You have to let it control you. It has no other worth. It has no other reason. The toolbox mind gives me a hammer. My intelligence knows I can use the hammer to build something or destroy something. That's memory. That's the mind. That's knowledge. But you're hurt and it's their fault, and that's why you can't use the hammer properly? That's silly. That's a self-created illusion. We attach to things and make them important and give them meaning, which creates feeling, which puts them in the basement of thought, and every day thoughts pop up. They say as many as 30,000 a day. And what do? I drop my mug of coffee, it smashes on the floor, and a thought comes up from the deceiver. And the thought says, see, you're a dummy, you're stupid. And what do? My voice comes out, you dummy, you're such an idiot. You always do stupid stuff like that. Pay attention. What? Who's talking to me? Who am I talking to? Me, myself, what? And we do this damage. And we do it over and over until it is who we think we are. And so I say to people, have you ever practiced thoughting? Are you a thoughter? Well, what? Have you ever practiced thinking? Oh, well, yeah. Are you a thinker? Well, yeah. Well, how come you're mostly a thoughter and mostly you're thoughting? What do you mean? Well, 30,000 thoughts come to your mind every day. You don't 30,000 times think every day, I guarantee it. That's why we spend most of our life in this illusion, sleepwalking. We have habits and routines that just happen. You drive home from work at the end of the day, you're tired. You walk into the house and slap your keys down on the counter and the sound wakes you up and you go, I don't remember driving home.
No.
I don't remember anything about it. How'd that happen? You're in thought, sleepwalking, the story mind. You're not thinking. So one of the big things I probably did, and now I'm seeing more clearly, I spend my day thinking. When you are thinking, you can't have a thought.
No.
Thoughts can't arise if you're thinking because your brain can't do both. It's impossible. That's why if you're sitting there having thoughts and then I interrupt you and say, what's your next thought going to be? You can't find it because you started thinking. So if you are thinking about what you're doing, we call it paying attention. Thinking about where you're going, thinking about the task you're at, thinking about other people, thinking about your life, thinking about your direction. You can't have thoughts. And you're doing toolbox work. You're living. You're being here. It's the story mind in the background, the movie, that you have to stay away from. Don't grab the thought. When the thought floats by, it's a cloud on your blue sky and says, you can't do this. What we do is we attach and we go, oh yeah, that's me. I know that thought. And boom, we spiral down negatively, building on this negative thought. It's a thought. What we have to do is pay attention and see a thought and go, that's not me, and move on. And the thought dissolves. I literally laugh out loud when I do something stupid. When I make a mistake, I laugh out loud because it destroys any thought that that is me. It destroys any ability to attach to the action a feeling that that might be something wrong. As soon as I laugh at it, it's gone because I know it is silly. There's nothing wrong with anyone. There is no mental illness. There's only a perception that is in a disorder from what you really are. And so all life is simply this struggle against this disordering of reality. Believing this fake story. And when you get to here, you see it's so simple. I know sometimes it can sound arrogant, elitist, but it's actually the most simple, basic thing that you always were, that we all are. That the only thing we need to be. Everything else is just the game. And make the game fun. I say, don't work hard, do hard work. People go, what's that mean? I can go to the gym and not like it, but use discipline. Use this inner grit strength because I know it's good for me. That's working hard. I go to the gym, I do hard work. I love the gym. I love the feeling of my muscles pushing back against this heavy weight. It's hard, and I love that hard. It's not hard work.
Yeah.
Or I should say, I don't work hard because I don't have to use discipline. I don't use will, courage, grit and determination. I don't. I do it because it's a pleasure. Personal development has become this working hard.
Yeah.
Drive, commit, courage, push, grit, discipline. No wonder people fail. You're not supposed to live that way. Do important work, but don't take it seriously. Be serious in your work, but your work's not serious.
Yeah.
Doing is the whole thing, not getting from your doing, not receiving something, not improving somehow. This idea that we're going to improve, I think is silly. You already are everything. You don't improve. You may add skills. You may add knowledge. Doesn't mean you're better. That's just difference. But as soon as we measure it, we have a problem. We measure it and say it's better. And so we can strive for it. We can get there. We can all get there. And we make this the thing we should be doing. It's silly. You're already there. Right now, everything you are, you are. You're not going to do something, you're doing it. You're not going to be someone, you are. And we think it's somewhere else. Accept it here right now, you and I talking. This is love. This is communication. This is beauty. This is what it is. It's all it will ever be. In 5 minutes, when you're talking to your son, it'll be right now talking to your son. It won't be somewhere else. You're always just going to be there. You're already here. You already have it all. You've already won. You've already achieved. You're already the success because you are what you are, not who you think you are, not a self you've constructed from a story, not an imagined reaching somewhere tomorrow. Those things are the falseness. That's where all the pain and struggle and fear and insecurity come from. You're not afraid right now. I'm not afraid right now. I'm not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. I'm here. Here, there is no fear, no insecurity, no problem, no nothing. Problems. What is a problem? It's just a situation. You deal with it or you don't. That's it. Over. There's no such thing as a problem. We create it. There's no problems in the world. Just situations for us to deal with or not. It's a choice.
The blame game is
Yeah.
a very, very common one, which you mentioned at the start. It's
Addiction.
yes, an addiction, but it's also so part of my work in chiropractic. We came across this principle in network spinal. We discussed this, and it's the triad of the villain, the victim, and the hero. And the villain is always the one down the bottom. And either way, they've given their power to the villain who's causing all of the pain and all of the discomfort in their life. And they're waiting on the hero to come and save them. Always. Because they're always below the other two. The problem is
And that's
with
all
that,
external. It's
it's
all
all
external.
external. Exactly. And the problem with that is that if a hero does come along and save them, yay, how wonderful, but they're still in that position of power,
And
which
dependency.
as soon as that turns into a thing, it's like, all right, it's very easily twisted. And then if something doesn't go the way the victim wishes that it had, that hero is relegated to the role of the villain. And they need to be saved again by another hero. It is rife in our society because people
Yep.
don't go, you know what? I've got the power. It's
And
my
and we
choice. I get to choose.
we we even do it with love.
100%.
Well, why do relationships fall apart? Because I need you.
Mm.
I have externalized my love. And so when you don't meet the expectations of my love, I'm hurt. But it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with you. I have put that power of love in you. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to love another person. We're supposed to be love and share it with other people. That gives them their autonomy of their love and
Yeah.
you yours. And then there is no conflict because you are being who you're supposed to be, who you truly are. And so, in even that relationship that you just spoke of, for 25, 30 years, I had a bad back, terrible pain. I never slept a single night in 25 years, right through, ever, literally. And I'm serious. Um, as soon as I went through this change, this waking up, I have no pains in my body. They disappeared. How much of everything is mentally created and controlled? The body is the mind. The
Yeah.
mind is the body. People say, I'll say this, it's all in your mind, which people hate to hear because I'm blaming the victim. How terrible. I'm attacking the person. And they'll say, it's not in my mind, it's in my body. I have all these different ailments and problems. It's not just in my mind. I go, your body is your mind. It's just an expression of the emotional energy that's happening in your body. That's all. You are not disconnected parts like we used to think in medicine, that the brain and the body were somehow disconnected. Well, of course, we know now they're completely connected. Why else could you stress yourself into heart disease?
Yeah.
How could you stress yourself into cancer? Because your body and brain are this pressurized machine, and it gets filled with all this toxic energy. And if you don't let it out, it's going to let you know. And the only way it knows how, by breaking down.
Yeah. My wife and I, we were talking about this exact concept over the last couple of days. It's this conversation that's been going on, and maybe the past couple of years, how really healing can only happen if the person is in a state that is going to heal itself anyway. It doesn't matter who you
Right.
go and see. You can go and see a chiropractor, someone who practices medicine. You can see a witch doctor or just go for a swim. It doesn't actually matter if the state is right for healing to happen, then the healing will spontaneously happen. And the mental state is such a big part of that. And
Yeah.
being able to forgive yourself and let go of the things that led you to this state of dis-ease. If you can calm things and just go, huh, ah, and love yourself and the
Well,
world and let it all go, suddenly things will spontaneously just improve because that is the state that you are in.
yeah.
It's the most amazing thing. I do have a question. Um, because you mentioned relationships, like once you become love, I'm curious
You don't become
how
love.
how how are things with your ex-wife, with your children, since you've had this awakening?
They don't talk to me.
Okay.
No, they live in too much pain.
Okay.
They are deep in their stories.
Mm.
And you can't save someone. You can't change someone. You can you can point to the light, you can point to the
Mm.
door that's over there that you can walk through, but
Yeah.
you can't make the person get up and walk through it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's, yes, I have to give them space. And I don't hold regret or pain around it because I know it's their story.
Yeah.
It's not my story anymore. We are not responsible for other people in the story. We are responsible for only ourselves. This is why I said you can't love yourself. That's impossible because you are love.
Mm.
What you're doing is not seeing that you are love. So you think you have to impose loving yourself. We use the word gratitude. I never use it. Gratitude's a terrible idea because gratitude is projecting outside. I'm grateful for something that makes me feel better.
Mm.
That's a mistake. I appreciate
Mm.
because it is what it is that I appreciate. So I'm not responsible for another human being. But you mean you don't care about people? Of course I care about people. But I know that we are only responsible for being who and what we really truly are. And when we do that, we share the love, we share the care, we share the compassion, we share the appreciation. We are a part of the same thing, the same experience. And the more of us that interact in that same way, we're just love. That's all. We're just happy. That's all it's about. You're only here to be happy. People will be after work. There you go. Why? There's nothing external. That's the fool's game. I can't love myself any more than I can, or believe in myself any more than I have to believe in gravity. It
Mm.
is. I don't believe in it. It
It
is.
just is.
I don't believe in myself. I am. There's nothing to believe in. I am. Just be it. If you're believing in it, you're not being it. You're thinking something you can do will give you this. That's externalization. It doesn't work. It has
Mm.
never worked. We've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years and we haven't figured it out. Have we gotten technologically progressed? Of course we have. But if you look at the emotional, mental state and health of bodies and brains, we've extended life through simple things about bacteria and cleanliness, but not about actually dealing with life.
Yeah.
We haven't gone anywhere. We're the exact same being. Like the Stoics 2,000 years ago, what were they talking about? Discipline, courage, responsibility, the same self-development because they were in the same place.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. In fact, Stoicism has had its greatest revival ever in the last several years, of men in particularly, believing you've got to be tough, you've got to be strong, show your courage, fight. It's hilarious. We keep falling into the same addictions, the same patterns, because of our fear and insecurity that we're really not looking at to find the truth of, that it doesn't exist. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
There is no security, so be insecure. Enjoy it. You have no control over it.
There has been a lot of talk about a great awakening the last couple of years. Have you seen any, what's your take on that? Have you seen any evidence of it? Any evidence against it? Or you think we're all just on the same path?
We're all on the same path. Nothing changes. Nothing has ever changed. We got religions 5,000 years old. Yeah. They all said the same thing. You know, Jesus gave away the secret of life, and no one listened. He didn't say to his disciples, find the light of the world. Go get the Lambo and you'll be happy. He didn't say you can work hard and find enlightenment. He didn't say you can buy it at a store. He didn't say you can heal your wounds and be enlightened. He said to his disciples, you are the light of the world. Well, these were poor, illiterate, uneducated men, mostly. I told them, you are the light. That's the secret. Religion's been saying it for 1,000 years. Mystics and gurus and the wise man has been saying it for thousands of years. It's not changing. There's no grand enlightenment happening. It would be beautiful. And there is some possible area to believe that our whole evolution is towards this, that the meaning is to wake up, that the meaning is to see you are the light of the world, that the meaning is to embrace the consciousness of just being, nothing else. I am. That's it.
I am.
You stop. Not, I am a plumber. I am a father. I am strong. I am weak. I am scared. I am courageous. No, I am.
The end. I completely agree. Yeah. Another very powerful two-word statement. What if I am?
And put them together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Because what if I am means there's no fear, there's no worry, there's no trouble, there's no nothing. It just is.
For potential. Yeah.
Happy, beautiful, loving. What else do you want? You won.
That should be it.
You're the winner. Collect your prize.
All right, Dallas, this has been heaps of fun. What, if you have a final message for our viewers, what would that last thought be?
I encourage people to use this. To do what? To record your story. Sit down today for 30 minutes and tell your story on video. And do it again in a week. And do it again in a week. And do it several times. And watch it. And watch it disconnected. Watch it as an audience member watching a movie about this person. And you may begin to see pieces of your story that maybe don't line up, or that you might be able to say, what if about? What if it's not true? Use technology to your advantage to find your true self. because it is in the investigation of our story that we find the truth that it's a lie. Not all of it, not the good memories, not the tools and all the good stuff, but this baggage that we carry that holds us back, that we struggle with, that's the lie. Record your movie. Watch it. Watch it from a distance. Be dispassionate. Realize it's just a story.
Beautiful. Where can people find more of you, Dallas?
Well, we live in 2025. If you have my name, I can't hide.
Perfect.
DallasCollis@gmail.com. It's an email address. I just say, people, let's talk. It's all it's about.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for your
Thanks
time.
for
Thank you
having
for
me.
your stories, your insights. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the work you're doing because you're part of a democratic revolution of voices in the world today that could not have been here a few years ago.
Yeah, very true.
And you're doing that work, and that work's not easy. Putting on a podcast takes a lot of dedication and effort, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dallas.
Take care.
Every big decision we've ever made, from leaving toxic jobs to moving across the world, came with an element of fear. But our latest big decision, moving our entire family to the other side of the world, that was the easiest one yet. It's because we worked through our fears before it was time to decide. Now, if you want to move into your future with confidence, free from the fears that hold us all back, we can help. Leandra and I. Work with us one-on-one using the method and face and transform your deepest fears. Reach out through the link in the show notes and we can get started.